Welcome back, everyone, to TV5 News at 9. It is time now for Education Matters, and we are always joined by Dr. Craig Douglas. It's always great to have you. Good morning.
Great to be here.
Yes, of course. We're talking about chronic absenteeism. And Dr. Douglas, just remind us what really this is.
So I'm going to credit CBS Morning Show last Wednesday for airing a segment on this, and a kind of sounded an alarm in my mind that this would be a good topic to follow up on again. I believe the psychologist on air was Dr. Lisa Damore. I'm not real familiar with her. She was on for almost 4 minutes and very impressive in terms of her content and her approach to this. There are many different definitions, but basically chronic absenteeism is when a student's gone 10% of the school year or of time from school, regardless of reason. So it could be, like my case, I've talked before, I had a broken leg when I was in high school. Well, I probably was chronically absent, technically, but it was for a due reason. You know, I'm not saying that someone who is chronically absent is necessarily negligent in any way, but it is a truism that if you are chronically away from school, it is a vicious cycle downward. And what's happened since the pandemic, Blake, that the psychologist pointed out, is the number of students who fall into this category, it's doubled. And there are a lot of theories of why this has happened. You know, when we were told to stay at home because of the pandemic at its peak, perhaps some habits were put in place that are hard to undo. So it's something that I think needs to be put on the table and analyzed and addressed now in September, when, let's say, a student's missed 3 days of school already. Well, that's chronically absent by definition. It's important to not have that perpetuate into October, if at all possible. And then November and December or whatever.
They're just snowball.
Yes.
Well, what else would you say causes, you know, some chronic absences?
Well, I'm going to put it back in the hands of the expert that was on CBS. She said the root cause for many, it's anxiety. So if you think of students of all ages, if a student's anxious about whatever it is, maybe it's a subject, or maybe it's a class, or maybe it's the locker comm, or maybe it's the lunch line, or I don't mean to trivialize this, but anything could cause anxiety. And if it's built up and causes a student to stay at home, the psychologist then makes a very logical argument that when the student stays home, the anxiety is relieved for how long? 1 day. And then the next day, the next school day rolls around, it's that much more of a challenge for the student to go back into an environment where they feel some anxiety.
And what would you suggest schools and even parents at home ways to combat this?
Well, certainly I think be mindful that chronic absenteeism needs to be nipped in the bud. And the best way to do that, from my experience, is for the parent, the teacher, or whoever is the contact at school. It could be a guidance counselor or principal, but somehow the parent and the school need to kind of roll up their sleeves and say, all right, if there's anxiety here, what is it? And how can we reduce it? And to get a game plan. Get a game plan that's followed, monitored, tweaked if necessary, or adjusted. And then another component to maybe consider, not for every case, but maybe consider, if this anxiety is not nipped in the bud, consider some outside help. You know, maybe it's an outside guidance counselor, or maybe it's a member of the clergy, or maybe it's a retired school superintendent like me, or I don't know. Find another voice perhaps to help support the parent with the child to try and get at the root cause of the anxiety. Not a simple situation, and it's not one size fitting all. But it needs to be addressed and monitored. And I would say anyone who has that 2-3 absences a month pattern, it really needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Because the more you fall behind, the worse it gets.
Oh, it's terrible. I will tell you, you know, and I missed that time with my broken leg. You know, I was really lost for a good month.
I bet.
And one of the classes I had that year was typing. Well, how did I learn typing from a hospital bed?
Right.
No.
You didn't.
So when I got back, I had to play catch up.
Yeah, not fun.
No.
All right, Dr. Douglas, appreciate you as always.
Thank you so much, and
Yeah.
be well.
Yeah, you as well. For more information, make sure you go to our brand new 9 a.m. page that you can find in the features tab on WNEM.com.